The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, welcome back, everybody. It is the next training session. So this is recapping some of the trainings that were done at ISC West this year. So today we have Nate and Pat, and they're going to be talking about PowerG automation. Just as a reminder, next week we will be doing recapping the training on DSC Connect, and then the week after we'll be recapping the training on IQ Installer. So if you haven't been with us for a while, we're still trying to remember how to do this. We're kind of out of practice. Please find the questions box and let us know where you're calling from. That'd be great. We will be doing a couple polls, and then we will at the end of this be giving away 3 sets of IQ Wi-Fi 6, so 3 sets of 3. We will, I think Pat, you've got a slide showing who won the water valves or IQ water valves last week. So we'll do the exact same thing next week. We'll make sure full transparency of who won what. But we'll be doing 3 sets of 3 for IQ Wi-Fi giving away on this webinar. So there is an after. We forgot it last week. Again, we're still learning how to do this again. Whereas we're getting older, we forget things. There is an after workshop survey that we would love to get your feedback on. How Pat and Nate did, what you'd like to see in the future, things like that. But we'll just do these 3 quick polls quickly, and then we will. I'll be going back on to my regular day job of hiding in the background and answering questions. But we'll just do this right now. So pretty simple. How often are you adding automation to your installs? It's pretty easy. Never, half the time, a little more than half the time, or every single install. All right, so I get the fun part of seeing the polls as they're coming in. Nobody else can see them. So it's about 15% or every install, but there's a ton between 50 and 99. So about 60% of you are about somewhere between 1 and 50%. So that's pretty good, but about 10% on every install. So we'll just give that one a couple more seconds. 85% of you have voted, so that's great. Close that one. The next one, pretty straightforward. Which automation devices do you install the most? Lights, locks, plugs, thermostats, or other? So if it's other, please post it in the questions box just so we can kind of get an idea. But it's as expected, 75 to 80% of you are primarily installing locks as for your automation devices. And about 18% on thermostat. So we'll just let that one go for just a couple more seconds. Now it's starting to even out a bit. 60% locks, 10% lights, 13% plugs, and 13% thermostat. So that's great. Thank you. We really do value the feedback.
Lots of locksmiths out there.
Yeah, right. And then one more. And don't blame me for these polls. Pat wrote them. I just have to do them. So, which vertical are you doing the most installs in? Kind of single-family houses, commercial enterprise locations, small business, or multifamily locations? So huge, yeah, as I expected. A strong 85%, 80% single-family homes. So not a surprise. Not a lot of multifamily, decent amount of small business, but yeah, we're holding steady there. Pat, we're holding steady at about 81% on single family homes. Perfect, which is good. It's perfect. It's perfect for the subject of the webinar. So I'm going to close that one. I'm going to, you can share your screen if you haven't already, Pat, and I am going to go on mute, hang out with Joel in the background and answer any questions that come in. Thanks again for everybody for coming. These are for you, and we love getting feedback from you. So thanks a lot.
All right, give me 1 second to get this thing pulled up for you guys. Well, all right, does that look all right? Nate, are you able to see that?
Yeah, it looks great, man.
All right, I got a bunch of stuff in the way here. Apologize for that. All right, so looking at PowerG automation, we did come out with a lot of new stuff over the last little bit of time, and excited to kind of review some of that with you guys. One of the great things with the Qualys platform is you can utilize all of the automation that you have been doing with ZWave, Zigbee, any of that. And then we've also brought PowerG automation in to make things even easier for you guys. Maybe it'll go. On the panels that the PowerG automation works with, any of the IQ4, so the no screen, the hub, the IQ4, anything on 4.4 or newer. And then with the IQ Pro, we actually introduced where you can do all of the PowerG automation with that on 430N. And that was, what was that, a couple weeks ago, Nate?
Yeah, just about 2 weeks ago.
So excited to have PowerG automation across all of the Qualys platform. So today, most guys are doing ZWave and have been using that. And in case you haven't seen it before, we do have a lot of ZWave diagnostics that are built into the panel to make your life easier. But one of the things that the feedback we've gotten from the installers is having to do LAMP modules and repeaters and add all of this stuff to make the system reliable. We did add the tools to make it work, but now we've got PowerG built in to make it even easier for you. So I know last week they did a great recap overall of the entire ISC stuff that we showed off. And one of those was about the water valve. And we did want to make sure, like Neil had mentioned, with full transparency, who the winners of last week's water valve giveaway were. So we got Conrad, Dean, April, Doug, and Christine. You guys will all be getting contacted to get those shipped out to you. So PowerG everywhere, that's our exciting new stuff. Biggest things that it adds is range, reliability. It's fully encrypted. It's got the frequency hopping. And then the other really cool thing is it's got two-way communication to make everything work. So looking at the entire set of products that we do offer, we've got the IQ switch, the IQ dimmer, IQ socket, IQ smart lock, and then the outdoor plug-in module. And then we'll also talk about some locks and some new stuff coming up as we go through the webinar here. So I'm going to jump in and look at the smart plug. This is a really popular one, and it plugs into any 120 volt outlet. It'll do up to 15 amps on that one single outlet. Gives you full control from alarm.com or the panel. Super easy to install. Basically, you power it up, have the panel in enroll mode, and it's that simple. And then you've got that full up to 1 mile range of PowerG. The outdoor version, now talking about the outdoor version, I think, didn't you get to do some cool stuff with this when you were testing it?
Yeah, we ended up using this with our Christmas lights. So yeah, we ran a bunch of Christmas lights out front of the house. I was actually really shocked, not only how reliable it was, but you know, it got pretty cold here in Utah, and it never skipped a beat. So yeah, this
never skipped a beat. That's awesome. Yeah. So like it shows on here, like looking at its operating temperatures, you know, it could be really cold, anywhere from 22 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, or for those up in Canada, negative 30 Celsius to 50 Celsius. So works really well. And then the other neat thing is there's 2 outlets on it, and you can actually individually control those 2 outlets. So I don't know, back on the poll, I wasn't able to see it, how many guys were doing lamp modules versus wiring in outlets, but we do have the IQ Smart socket available as well. That way it can be directly wired in, and the 2 outlets on it are individually controllable as well, making it nice and simple. And those can do up to 1800 watts on the IQ outlet. Then we've got a couple of light switches that we have out right now. So we've got the IQ power switch. This would be like your single pole. So there's one light or one switch that's going to control that single light, and it can do up to 300 watts LED. So a ton of LED lights can be wired into that. nice and simple to use. Again, really easy to install. That was one of the biggest feedbacks that we had gotten from the field, is let's make it easy to install. So you don't have to do the clear device. You don't have to add a device. You just power it up, have the panel in roll mode, and you're good to go. We also have a dimmer available. So if you are wanting to, nice and simple again, and really easy to install.
Hey, Pat, one of the questions that came up here, and I didn't know if you were going to get to this a little bit later on in the presentation, but I figured I'd just ask it while we're talking about the switch and the dimmer there. Do we have the capability of utilizing these devices in a three-way location, like for a switch?
So actually, I do have currently today, we do not have that capability yet, but there is a slide at the end of the presentation that will talk about some upcoming product that you guys will be really excited about. So great question. So looking at the locks have been pretty phenomenal. We were just talking about, weather conditions and cold environments, being outside. And if you haven't seen it, Neil made a awesome video back around, I think it was around Christmas time. That's on our YouTube channel, and you'll have to check that out. It's pretty sweet. So cool things about the lock.
Pretty cold, not pretty sweet.
Well played. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, because I was sitting inside in my warm house watching you be in the cold. So, but the PowerG Lock is pretty neat on the way its capabilities. So it has the ability to have up to 250 user codes. On the user codes, they can be anywhere like 4 digits, 6 digits, 8 digits. Supports the different code lengths depending on the environment that you're using it in and what you need to do. And then it does also have the ability to lock out after 3 minutes for 3 minutes after 10 invalid code entries. So looking at battery life, and this is one of the really exciting parts, is based off of 10 locking cycles daily, you're going to get at least 12 months of battery life out of it. So going to last a lot longer due to the efficiencies of PowerG. And then it is fire rated if you're doing any of the other applications where that's important. And it's very secure. It's a grade 2 lock, so it meets all of the requirements that you would run into.
Hey,
so looking at,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. One quick question about that door lock that keeps coming up, and it actually came up here in the chat, and I figured we'd probably want to just address it here as we're talking about these PowerG automation devices. Was the door lock, is that something that we would be able to integrate with any other panel outside of the IQ platform?
So it's only on the IQ platform that the PowerG locks or PowerG automation devices will work.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
So thank you for bringing those questions up. I wish I could see them here. But looking at some of the different things that PowerG really brought to the table for you guys is we've got a great portfolio. It's going to continue to grow. We're going to bring more devices into the market for you. And it's easy to give you that smart home integration, giving you the different capabilities. So in case you're not familiar with PowerG, PowerG is really powerful. It's two-way communication. It checks all the boxes, makes life simple. And on our YouTube channel, we've got, like I had mentioned before, a lot of really great videos. The one here on the screen is in Niagara Falls. They actually were on the Canadian side as well as the US side, and were able to lock and unlock over the falls, making it really reliable for long range capabilities. I got another install that I actually helped the dealer with in Kansas, and this to me is kind of the situation that I ran into when I was still a dealer out in the field. And it's the customer that's got their main house, and then they've got a detached shop, and they want to have a lock that is out on the shop. So what we did is we put a PowerG door lock in the shop there. You can see it off to the left in that lower picture. And then the main panel is in the center of the house, kind of if you walked in the garage door there. And you can see that you're getting really great range. There's no repeaters. It just works. So really slick solution, making life easy to install. It automatically hands on power up, making life very simple. So some of the questions that we've had have been in like your residential and commercial environments is how do we make the automation work? So we're used to ZWave today that you can build rules, and we've got something similar with scenes, and then we've got some new stuff that's coming that I'll talk about at the end as well. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how to build those scenes and rules and build that through the wizard. Were there any other questions that you'd seen come in, guys?
Right now, no, we're good on the questions. The one thing I think we want to really focus on, Pat, is enrollment, especially of locks, right? You know, it's a little different than ZWave. So I just, you know, if you could just focus on, you know, how to make sure it's enrolled, what, you know, the differences between enrolling a PowerG versus a ZWave, I think there'd be a lot of benefit there.
Okay. Yeah, so like when you're looking at your PowerG lock, the simplest way to enroll it is, and I don't have a slide, so I'm kind of going to wing that off here, is you're going to have your panel, put it in auto enroll mode. So you'll have it in auto enroll, and then when you pop the batteries in, that is what's going to enroll, and you'll see it pop up on the screen just like any other PowerG device to allow that enrollment.
Yeah, the one thing specifically, Pat, enroll it at its final install location. It is not ZWave. You don't need to hold the panel next to it and roll it within, you know, 12 inches, leave it there for 3 minutes, you know, hop on 1 foot. It's entirely different.
So, and to help with that, we actually, Nate and his team have built a bunch of smart skills that are available on our YouTube channel. Is the PowerG Lock one? I can't remember. Is that one on there, Nate?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we got ready to release these products, even before ISC West, we've got a bunch of these PowerG automation videos specifically for the door lock. We've got a couple of them actually for the dimmer, the switch, the receptacle or plug, and then the outdoor device too. So now the purpose of these smart skills is really just to give you kind of a quick overview on each specification or the functionality of these devices in just a short 1 to 3 minute clip. So I'll actually, if there's a way to do it, maybe what we ought to do is drop the link to our YouTube channel. You guys can go check it out, you know, at your earliest convenience, but it's they're kind of cool, neat little videos.
Drop it in the chat function, Nate, in the chat function, not the question function.
Okay. Yeah.
So perfect. Yeah, I'd love to try to play a video. I know that on these webinars, playing videos sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So we're going to give this a go and see if it'll play here. So this is one of the smart skills for the IQ power switch enrollment.
Yeah, the audio isn't coming through, Pat, very well.
Audio's not coming through. Okay, well, we'll just keep moving. If you scan that QR code, that'll take you to the YouTube channel. That way you guys can view those smart skill videos. So looking at creating these scenes, these automation rules, so all of that is done through the alarm.com website. So going to kind of walk you guys through step by step on setting up those automation rules and scenes. So we're going to click on, after we log in to the portal, on automation, click on scenes, and then we're going to create a new scene. Pretty straightforward there. We're going to give the scene a name, and then what we wanted to do is disarm the panel. So we're going to give it a name, highlight disarm, and then click save. Then we're going to build a rule that will trigger that scene. So we're going to click on rules, add a new rule. It's going to open up the new rules builder. And then we're going to be able to select our locks, or this could be lights, depending on what the automation that you're trying to trigger. There's a lot of different options that you would be able to do. But in this example, we're going to select our locks, click next, and we're going to say anytime that the lock is unlocked, that we want it to run the scene that we created and disarm the panel. So we clicked scene, clicked disarm panel, click done, and then save that rules builder, and we'll be able to run that automatically anytime the lock is unlocked. I've had really great luck with that. The other great thing about doing it with scenes is you can layer scenes, you can reutilize scenes. It makes building different automations much simpler as you go through everything. So other resources that we have available on the Qualys dealer page is, if you haven't gotten registered for that, you'd want to go to dealers.qualys.com. But we've got sales tools for making sure that the lock's going to fit, that it's the right size, that they've got the right type of lock. And again, great videos walking through guys through getting this first one installed. Any other questions popping up right now, Neil?
Nope, nothing. Nope. I mean, the one thing that did pop up was, you know, ZWave having to clear the device. You know, like on a ZWave device, you know, you always want to clear it first, and you know, pass S2 encryption and all that's, you know, fun stuff. You know, that's one of the real advantages of the you know, the PowerG automation devices as a whole. You just, you know, it just works. You just put them at their final install location. You learn them in. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to enter DSKs and again hop on one foot and tap your head. They literally just work. So that's it right now.
Cool. So some of the feedback that we got and some other announcements that we made this year is, and Nate kind of alluded this back in the beginning, is coming up in January, we'll be releasing a new version of the PowerG light switch, and we'll have a three-way switch that's just on off, as well as a three-way dimmer. The cool thing with this is it'll basically just be these two SKUs, and you'll be able to use it in a three-way configuration or in a single one-way configuration as well. Sorry, looking for the right word there. Nate, have you got to see these at all yet, or Neil?
I haven't seen any prototypes yet, but I know that they're working on it.
Nothing yet.
The one thing that I would reiterate here too is, you know, and Neil kind of alluded to it earlier, but your feedback is imperative. So when we came to market with the PowerG automation devices, we showed it last year at ISC West. Before it was even officially launched, we had a few of you come up to us at the show and since asking about these three-way devices. And so because of your feedback and your partnership, you know, we've made this a priority. So, you know, voice of the customer really means a lot to us here at JCI.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of the voice of the customer, so another pretty cool new device that'll be coming out in next year as well is the new IQ Lock PowerG that is a keyless lock, but it's also a touchscreen. So pretty sweet on this setup. Looks great. You still got all of your colors. It's available just like the ones today in matte black, oil red bronze, and satin nickel. But one of the things that we also tried to do is make the back piece a little bit smaller. So I don't know if you've done any of the multifamily installs, but I know in Texas, they've got a requirement in multifamily where there's basically 2 deadbolts. And in order to get everything to fit, we needed to make the lock a little bit smaller. So again, based off of your guys' feedback, we're able to develop this new lock. We actually had this on display out at ISC, and it's pretty sweet, and that should be available in January of 2025. And then another question that we've been asked a lot is, how do I make PowerG automation work locally and build all of the rules? So today you would go to alarm.com and be able to do that. So we will be launching a new update 4.50 that comes out. I think it's planned for the end of May. Is that's still the plan, Neil?
Yeah, end of May, first week of June kind of thing. It's somewhere, so I'd say around June. Let's go June 13th. I just pick a number at random. That's what it's looking like right now.
So yeah, so beginning of June into May, you'll be able to have the ability to do PowerG automation rules locally. It'll also add additional features for building those rules on the alarm.com portal. So based off of your guys' feedback, once again, we've been able to improve PowerG automation, giving it more powerful resources to you guys. If you're using the IQ installer app, which is how you would enroll this on the IQ Pro, that's pretty easy as well. So if you're used to the Qualsys format of programming, you're going to have the same capabilities on the app on your phone. So works really well. And I guess I went a little faster than I had anticipated, Neil. I think we're going to get done early today, maybe give these guys some time back, unless you have other things to talk about.
I don't know, you did. You went, yeah, you went pretty fast. I just looked at the time. I'm like,
I just looked at the watch and was like, wow, I talked too fast today.
I think we should, take a couple minutes and, talk about, again, I think we need to really stress the learning the lock at its install location, right? Like, one of the things with, PowerG and adaptive power transmission is, you want to learn it, or, in the case of, our devices, you want them to be tampered at their final install location, so they use the correct amount of transmitting power and battery, etc. So, it is a bit of a change having to learn, we've always had to learn the lock right next to the panel, wait that time, and then go install it at its final install location with the PowerG locks, but doing it at the final install location is key, right? Because it's going to then use the right amount of, transmission power, battery power. I think that's, it's applicable to everything. You're not having to build a mesh, which, you covered right at the start there, Pat. I mean, not having to build a mesh is key, right? Like PowerG is not a mesh network, right? So I don't think we've answered all the questions. So there was some questions about, there were some comments too. David, our friend up, David Clark, used to work with us, saying that PowerG is a little different than ZWave is the understatement of the month, which is good. I'd say it's probably the understatement of the year. There's what else do we have? Okay, so there was questions about the touchscreen lock with a key as opposed to without a key. We had heard a lot of feedback for people who wanted the touchscreen as a keyless lock. So Chris, we will definitely take that under advisement, that you would like to see a touchscreen with a key as well. One of the good things about PowerG versus ZWave locks is the reporting functionality. We're going to be able to report batteries at like 50%, 30%, 20%, 10%, send notifications based on those. And, as a dealer, you'll have access to that reporting as well. So if we, there are those situations where people forget to replace their keys or replace their batteries, and then, oh, I can't get in. After 4 or 5 notifications, if they still forgot it, they should probably call a locksmith. But we will, on the touchscreen lock, there will be an emergency recovery. So you'll be able to use a 9-volt battery on the bottom of the touchscreen lock to be able to momentarily power it to get into the house. So that is something that we looked at. We did look at, the ability for using a USB-C, and people were super excited about that. We did look into it. Unfortunately, phones and reverse charging, so to speak, don't put out enough voltage to power a lock. So we did look at that. I mean, so what's more likely that somebody's going to be able to grab, a 9-volt battery or a USB power pack, right? So we went with 9-volt battery for the win.
Solid.
Brent wants you to give a head start, talk about DSC Connect, but I mean, I think we got to save something for next week.
Yeah, I'm not gonna steal Mark's thunder on the DSC Connect. Like, next week's gonna be pretty cool. The DSC Connect is pretty amazing in the capabilities that it has. So yeah, Mark, make sure you tune in next week, and he'll definitely get that covered.
Yeah, Mike just keeps putting PowerG everywhere in the chat. So it is PowerG everywhere. So some questions about water resistant locks. So water resistant is a strong term. The locks are IP54 rated, no different than other locks. So you can't put it underwater, but you could definitely have it. It's going to get wet, like it's going to get rained on, it's going to work. Right, so it is an IP54 rated lock. Just looking to see if there's any other questions. Ron wants a PowerG fish feeder. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to build a business case for that one, Ron. But yeah, I know. But well, they have the customer asking for it. But the good thing is we will, and we haven't really talked about it, but next year we will be releasing a PowerG PGM module. I think David Clark's probably jumping up and down right now. But we will have a PowerG PGM module that I guess you could hook up to some kind of fish feeder. Not quite sure how it would work, but we will be having that next year as well. Next year as well. Lots of questions on, are we going to have a PowerG lever lock? Yes, we are looking at tons of additional PowerG locks, commercial locks, the touchscreen. There's definitely some other locks coming in the near future. But yeah, again, right, Nate said it, it's voice of customer. We need that feedback. And we can only, we're not going to build everything. We're going to build things that people want, right? So if you want something, talk to your sales rep, talk to your TAM, tell us on webinars, we'll look at it. I mean, we would love to be able to build everything for everybody, like the fish feeder. But unfortunately, I don't think we'd be able to build a business case for that one, right? But what is this? PowerG PGM. Yeah, never mind, we got it. I think we're good actually. So again, there is going to be an after webinar survey. We'd love to get your feedback. We will post the winners of the IQ Wi-Fi 6 units for next week. I really strongly suggest everybody can, definitely attend DSC Connect and the IQ installer training. One of the things that we did talk about last week is IQ installer is coming to the IQ4 and IQ4 hub panels, originally designed for NS and Pro, but they are coming in the 4.50 update for IQ4s and IQ4 hubs. I think you're going to love both DSC Connect and IQ installer. Why am I talking so much?
I know, it's great.
I'm looking to see if there's any more questions coming. Yes, Chris, the webinars are recorded and they are posted on our YouTube channel. And if they don't get posted, you can blame Nate because he took my access away from the YouTube channel, so he has to post them now. I think that looks like all of the questions are answered. Again, we really appreciate everybody attending. There are handouts. We forgot to mention that. Again, we're trying to remember how to do this. There are handouts in there for both IQ Lock and the IQ Lock spec sheet and the PowerG Everywhere spec sheet, which covers all of the devices that Nate and Pat talked about today. Other than that, we're going to give you some time back in your day, which is awesome. Don't expect that from DSC Connect. Mark talks really slow. So that one's probably going to take a little longer. But we really look forward to getting more feedback, seeing you guys seeing y'all next week. And we want to keep doing these, and we do these for you, right? So hopefully you see benefit from it, and have a great rest of your Thursday.
Thanks, guys.